Supplemental math videos from Circle Christian School. Ah, the matrix, so much fun. There are things called determinants. The use of a determinant basically arose out of these guys not being able to do things like watch Monday Night Football and video games all day long, things like that. They actually played with numbers. That was their video game of the day. In fact, they actually got in trouble for doing nothing but playing with numbers a lot of the times because it took too much of their time away from other things that they should be doing. Imagine that. All right, let's do some basic trying to find a determinant. I generally like to use two different colors. It's a process of multiplication with addition here. First, you're going to just kind of multiply up, which is going to give you a 0. I like circling that. Going to use a different color. You multiply down. This is a basic 2 by 2. And we get a 12, and I'm going to circle that. And then we're going to take the top number and multiply it and multiply it. Subtract it from the bottom number, so you start on the bottom here. Use your little circles. Have a minus sign. This keeps all the little integers happy here. And you find that it equals a positive 12. And you put the little lines around it to say, hey, I'm a determinant of the matrix. To do a larger one, like maybe a 3 by 3 here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply up and then we're going to multiply down. But you have to bring out the first 2 rows of the determinant just so you can get to where you've got 3 items on the diagonal being multiplied together. If you had a 4 by 4, you'd have to bring 3 of the columns out. Yes, you can do it with a 4 by 4 and a 5 by 5, and oh my gosh, it gets kind of crazy. And so again, I'm going to multiply up. I just kind of follow my arrows here and do the math. Negative 4 and a negative 3, not a negative 3, a negative 4 and a 3 is a negative 12. I like putting a plus sign. It's just that you're adding the multiplication of the diagonals together. So that's a 20. A plus sign. I love the ones with 0 in it. So those are just nice and neat. And so we get a positive 8. I'm going to circle that. Now I'm going to multiply down. And we get a positive 14. Plus sign, multiply down, a negative and a negative. So it's going to be a positive 10. And again, I have that 0. Love zeros. And so we get 14 plus 10 is a positive 24. Okay, looking at the bottom number, then I put a minus sign. And then we put the top number, the 8. And that equals 24 minus 8, 16. So the determinant, 16. It shouldn't really be a 16. Let me check on that for a minute. I think I have some bad math somewhere. Okay, I did check on that, and I found that I was okay. The issue with the one that I did in practice is I forgot to make the 7 here be a negative 7, and that's why I ended up with a different value and kind of had a heart attack for a second. And it's not good to give the teacher a heart attack. So I find I'm okay, so I'm going to try this here and see if we don't get the same value by doing a thing called expanding on the minors. It's just a different way to do it. Not my favorite way because I personally think it takes more time. But if you like it better, do it. I actually have another student over at Calvary that had learned this to begin with, and that's the way they do it. Great, hallelujah, go for it. Okay, expanding on the minors means you're going to take either a row or a column, and generally what I like to do is just take the top row here just the top row, because that's the easiest one to do. They have you try it in different rows or different columns, because I take the top row because for me it's the easiest to remember. The pattern here is a plus minus plus, a plus minus plus, and so that's the one I go and use to go and match up. So what we're going to do is work on each of the different entries and then the value of the minor. As I go along, it'll start to make a little bit sense here. So I'm going to start with my very first one here, which is the number 1. So the entry that I'm doing is a number 1, and that means that I am not going to look at the row, and I'm not going to look at the column here, and that just gives me a nice little 2 by 2, which we've already done, is kind of quick and easy. So we go multiply up, which is a 20, circle it, multiply down, which is a 14, circle it, bottom number take away top number, and so we get a, let's see, 14 take away 20 is what? -6, right? Okay, so the value of the minor is a -6. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this a couple of times just so I can play with my little colors nicely. So I'm going to erase and rewrite the fact that we have an entry of 1 here and a value of -6 here. And we're working off the top. So now we go to the next entry, which is going to be my -1 here, like so. And I already have the top kind of canceled out, and we end up with the bottom. And the whole purpose of expanding on the minors is it gives you this nice little 2 by 2, which for some people is just a little bit easier to deal with. So again, I'm going to multiply up, so I get a -10. Multiply down, which is a 0. So 0 take away the -10. Be real careful here, because it's easy to forget that it's a minus thing. So that's going to give me a positive 10. So the value of the minor here is a positive 10. Okay, so we're going to go to the next one. I'm going to do a little more rewriting, but just work on it. The whole thing is that we're trying to build these 2 by 2s. Okay, so my first entry here was 1. My value was a -6. My next entry was a -1. My value was a, golly, 10. I remember that now. Good. And so now we're going to do the same thing. We're still working with the top row. Going to move to the last number, which is the 3. So our entry is a 3. And now I'm going to have a new 2 by 2, which is my 0, 2, -2, and a 4. I'm going to do the same thing. Multiply up, gives me a -4, give it a circle. Multiply down, which gives me the 0, give it a circle. Take away the top number, the -4, so we see it's a positive 4. And so my value here is a positive 4. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the entry, multiply it by the value of the minor, using, and then we're going to incorporate the signs of whatever we used. In this case, I used the top row, which I still think is the easiest one because it goes plus, minus, plus. So here's what we're going to do. We take the first entry, and we have the second one, and then we have the third one. Now I'm going to put my signs, my appropriate signs. So this is plus, this is minus, and this is plus. Now we're going to plug in. I have a 1 and a -6, -1 and a 10, and I have the 3 and the 4. So here we have a -6. Negative negative is going to be positive, positive 10, and a positive 12, which is going to give me 22 take away 6, which is a positive 16. Yay, yay, same thing I got on the other one. Again, just a different way to do it. Some people like it. Some of the things that they might do is they'll say, for instance, expand on the column here. So then you have to do the same thing. Once, make a new matrix, then you'll do this, make a new matrix, do this one, make a new matrix. Then you have to use the signs that go with it. I think that's a bit of a hassle, but it's not a bad thing to know. Some people like it, some people don't. It's just, hey, pick your video game of the day and go play it. All right, guys, that's what you do with determinants.